Have you ever been so caught up in someone that you started bending your own rules just to keep them happy? You like him, maybe even love him, and suddenly you find yourself doing things you once swore you'd never do. But here's the hard truth. When you abandon yourself for a man, you don't end up with love, you end up with loss. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. The 5 things you should never do for a man, no matter how much you care about him, if you want a relationship that actually lasts and makes you feel respected, valued, and loved. Because real love doesn't come from losing yourself, it comes from bringing your full self into the relationship. So let's dive in. Boundaries aren't about pushing someone away, they're about protecting your self-worth. But here's the trap so many women fall into. They meet someone they like, and suddenly those boundaries they once valued start to bend. Maybe you told yourself you wouldn't rush intimacy until there's trust and commitment. But then he pressures you, and you start second-guessing yourself. Maybe I should just go along with it so he doesn't leave. But listen carefully. That is not love, that is fear. People-pleasing is often rooted in a fear of abandonment. The problem? The moment you abandon your own boundaries, you abandon yourself. I've spoken to so many women who gave in too quickly because they thought it would make him stay. Instead, he vanished the moment he got what he wanted. And the pain wasn't just in losing him, it was in losing themselves. On the other hand, when you hold firm to your boundaries, something incredible happens. Yes, he might leave, but you leave with your dignity intact. Your self-esteem grows. Your confidence deepens. And you make space for the man who actually respects you, who sees your boundaries as a sign of strength, not as an obstacle. Because let's be real, if saying no to him requires a full PowerPoint presentation, you're not in love. You're in a hostage situation, with slightly better lighting. It's beautiful to fall in love. To want to share your time, your passions, your energy. But there's a dangerous line many cross, making him your entire world. Maybe you've done this before, slowly stopped seeing your friends, stopped pursuing your passions, stopped nurturing the parts of yourself that made you vibrant and alive. Until one day, you wake up and realize, you've disappeared inside the relationship. Here's the problem, enmeshment kills attraction. The version of you that he was drawn to, the vibrant, independent, passionate version, begins to fade. And when that happens, not only do you lose yourself, the relationship loses its spark. One of my clients once told me, "Every time I got into a relationship, I stopped living my life. I stopped seeing my friends. I stopped doing what I loved." 6 months later, the relationship ended, and I had nothing left but regret. She made a vow, never again. And when she kept that promise, when she continued to live her life fully, even while dating, she attracted a man who respected her independence and admired her strength. Because here's the truth. When your social life is replaced with his availability, that's not love. That's glorified babysitting with fewer snacks. This is a tough one. When you like someone and he starts to pull back, the natural reaction is to chase. To call, to text, to close the gap. But here's what you need to know. Chasing doesn't pull him closer, it pushes him further away. If a man is healthy and emotionally mature, when he takes space, he'll use it to reflect, not to escape. He'll come back stronger. But if he's not ready, if he's avoidant, if he's not serious, no amount of chasing will change that. So what do you do instead? You hold your ground. You protect your energy. You watch his actions, not just his words. Because here's the truth. Who someone is in the quiet moments when things get tough tells you more than who they are when everything's easy. Chasing will only drain your power. Waiting and observing shows you his truth. Remember, your worth doesn't decrease just because someone else can't see it. Let me tell you something that will save you years of heartache. You cannot fix a man who doesn't want to fix himself. So many women fall in love with potential. Not the man in front of them, but the man they imagine he could become. He's not ambitious now, but maybe I can inspire him. He's emotionally unavailable, but maybe with me he'll change. That is a recipe for disappointment. One friend of mine dated a man who showed up to their first date in sweatpants, unshaven, clearly not putting in effort. She thought, it's okay, he has good qualities. I'll help him improve his style, his habits. Months later, she realized she wasn't dating a partner. She was parenting a project. And he resented her for it. Here's the reality. When you try to fix a man, you don't inspire growth, you step into mom mode. And nothing kills attraction faster than feeling like his mother instead of his lover. You deserve a man who shows up already assembled, no instructions required. Your job is not to mold him, it's to choose the man who already aligns with you. Because while you can inspire growth through your own example, you cannot force it. And you shouldn't have to. Giving is beautiful. Loving is beautiful. But overgiving? That's dangerous. Overinvesting looks like this. You're always the one planning the dates. You're always the one making the effort. You're always the one driving across town to see him, while he barely lifts a finger. And here's why that's a problem. When you do all the work, two things happen. First, he loses the joy of pursuing you, of providing for you. Second, you set yourself up for resentment when he doesn't match your effort. Relationships work best when both people jog side by side. But if you're sprinting while he's barely walking, you're not in partnership, you're in performance. Many of us were taught early that love has to be earned. That we need to do more, give more, prove more to be worthy of it. But the truth is, real love doesn't demand exhaustion, it thrives on balance. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can give in a relationship is the space for him to step up. To provide. To lead. To show you that he's invested too. Because love is not about one person carrying all the weight, it's about two people carrying it together. Here's the truth. If you silence your voice, shrink yourself, or settle for less than you deserve, you may keep a man, but you'll lose yourself. But when you stand firm in your boundaries, when you live your life fully, when you allow him to match your effort instead of overgiving, that's when you create space for a relationship that is healthy, strong, and lasting. The right man won't be intimidated by your standards. He'll be drawn to them. So let me leave you with a question. What is one thing you want a man to bring into your relationship, not because you ask him to, not because you beg for it, but because he chooses to? Is it consistency? Effort? Respect? Protection? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your answer. Because at the end of the day, love isn't about losing yourself for someone else. It's about finding someone who makes you more of who you already are. Here's to your strength. Here's to your self-worth. Here's to your love story written on your terms.